The final rays of sun bled through the dense canopy, painting long shadows across the forest floor. Elias checked his watch. 6:17 p.m. Darkness would fall soon, and he was hopelessly lost. He'd been following a deer trail, convinced it would lead him back to the main path, but it had only deepened his isolation. Panic, cold and sharp, pricked at the edges of his fear. His phone was dead, his water almost gone. He slumped against a moss-covered log, the rough bark scratching his cheek. A twig snapped. He froze. Silence, heavy and expectant, pressed down on him. Then, another snap. Closer this time. He slowly turned, his heart hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. Through the gathering gloom, he saw a pair of eyes, glowing faintly in the twilight. Not animal eyes. Too intelligent, too knowing. They watched him, unblinking. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and gaunt, its features obscured by the darkness, but its presence palpable, chilling him to the bone. It didn't move aggressively, but its stillness was more menacing than any lunge could have been. Elias felt a primal fear, a sense of utter vulnerability. He was not alone. The clock ticked down, each second a hammer blow against his dwindling hope. He tried to speak, to shout for help, but his voice caught in his throat. The figure took a step closer, and Elias saw, with a jolt of icy terror, that its hands were long and skeletal, its fingers tipped with impossibly sharp claws. He scrambled back, his legs tangled in undergrowth, his breath catching in ragged gasps. He stumbled, falling with a jarring thud against the rough earth. The creature loomed above him, its shadow engulfing him completely. He squeezed his eyes shut, waiting for the inevitable. Silence. Then, the sound of rustling leaves, a slow, deliberate retreat. Elias waited, his body trembling, until he heard nothing. He slowly opened his eyes, the darkness seeming even deeper now. He was alone again, but the silence was a different kind of silence, heavy with unspoken dread. He crawled to his feet, his legs weak, his mind reeling. He had to get out of there, before the clock struck midnight, and whatever lurked in the forest decided to return.